Hello, it's Tina Marie, and welcome to another episode of Light Your Life, the podcast, where we get to talk to amazing individuals who are simply doing life, following their dreams, following their journey, and following those circumstances that lead them to that next open door and season of their life. And we get to sit with them and hear their stories and hear their advice. Having gone through challenges, how did they arrive to the other side? And what advice do they have for us so we too can light our lives with wisdom and joy and empathy and courage? Thank you so much for lending your ear and your time to listening to today's story. Let me introduce our guest. She happens to be a bit of a hero of mine, and I did get to talk to her before then, so she knows this. And so Phyllis Pena, she arrived on TV one night as I was watching the news, and it was about a mom who tackled Peeping Tom looking through her daughter's window. You may have seen the viral video. It's gotten over 250,000 views, and I'm sure it's going to keep growing. And so This is a little bit about Phyllis. She is from Lake Jackson here in Texas, and originally from Ohio. She's been in Texas for 19 years. She's a single mom of 4 kiddos, ranging from 12 to 19. And the last 10 years, she's been here in Texas. She works in industrial sales for 7 years now. Not an easy job. And she loves to be in the outdoors, especially making memories with her children. So Phyllis, thank you again for being our guest here on Light Your Life. I love to get to chat with you. And literally that night I saw that video, I was like, I need to find this woman. She's awesome. And it isn't just about what you did there in tackling the gentleman, which we'll find out more about, but I could tell that inside of your spirit, inside of your soul, there was something that drove you. And I think our world needs more of what you can share with us today. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Awesome. So tell us about your family. You've got 4 children. Who are they and what are those age range? How are they spread out?
Starting with my oldest, he's 19 and I actually have a baby on the way. So I'll be a grandma soon.
Oh, cool. Congratulations. I love being a grandma.
I know. I'm so excited because I told him I'm going to spoil him in the back. He actually now. So I have a 17-year-old boy and then a 15-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old boy. Awesome. Or 12-year-old, sorry, he's about to be 13, if I can get his age right. He told me the other day, he said, I'm almost 13, Mom.
I'm almost 13, Mom. Come on, give me some credit here, dude. I know how that goes. I love it. And so you arrived home and saw a peeping Tom looking through your daughter's window?
Yes, ma'am. I got home. I had ran to get coffee early in the morning, and whenever I pulled into the driveway, I didn't even notice it first. I got out of the car, normal routine, just walk around the front of the car and happened to notice out of the corner of my eye, there was this guy just standing at her window trying to peek into her window. Like he wasn't just standing there. He was like crouched down trying to, look through the blind.
Right.
And that's when I yelled at him and, I was like, what the are you doing?
Right.
And that's when he realized I was even there because he was so engrossed in what he was doing. He didn't even hear me pull up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he turned and he looked at, like a deer in the headlights and took off running.
So you're a single mom of 4. Tell us about your kids. So how do they range? I know you have a 19-year-old and I think you even have a grandbaby on the way.
Yes, ma'am. I have 3 boys and 1 girl. My boys are 19, which that's my oldest. He's moved out and starting his life and has a baby on the way. Awesome. And then I have a 17-year-old boy that's at home still. He graduates this year. And then I have my 15-year-old daughter. And then I have my 12-year-old son, which is like my baby boy, Yeah. He's spoiled.
He's spoiled. That's great. And so, wow. Okay. So your daughter has 3 brothers. This guy had a lot of bravado.
Oh yeah. My oldest one said he better be glad I wasn't home. My 19-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did it work that the police got there? Because I don't know about you, but in my world, the police don't arrive when they're exactly needed. And so I know that the police were trying to apprehend this gentleman. How'd that all go down?
Yeah, and that's a lot that people don't understand about the story, because I know you just see the clip on the news and it's, the whole backstory. Once you hear it, it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But whenever I got home, I saw him peeking into the window. So I went ahead and came inside to come check on my daughter after he ran away.
Right.
And luckily she wasn't in her room. She had gotten to the shower. So, she wasn't in there. She was okay. So I called the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look at the timeline because they got here really quick, which is amazing. I mean, I called it almost exactly 7:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And by 7:14 is when the video, shows me tackling the guy. So within 14 minutes, I'd called the cops and he was apprehended. I mean, so it was a very quick, like, couldn't even think kind of process because it happened so quick.
And so he was still outside?
Okay, so if you want to hear the craziest part about the story.
Yes.
Whenever I came inside to check on her and I called the cops and, got off the phone with them, made sure she was okay, I went back outside because I watched which way he ran. Mm-hmm. And I peeked around my house, and about 5 houses down, he's just standing there staring back.
Okay.
Yeah, just standing there staring back towards my house. So I ducked back behind my house again to make sure he didn't see me.
Right.
And I waited a few seconds and I peeked back around my house and he was walking off, not running, walking. Mm-hmm. So I started walking towards that way. And that's about when the cops pulled up from both sides of the street.
Yeah.
Pointed to them where he just went. And I could hear them yelling, get on the ground, stop. Well, one cop missed him. The next cop tried to taser him, but it caught his jacket instead of connecting with him. Mm-hmm. So at that point, that's where the video starts, where you see me just kind of standing there watching, because I'm like, okay, they got him, it's good. And then I realized, oh my God, he's getting away. And he's running my way.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. And that's my daughter standing with me in the video. And she was saying, Mom, no, don't go that way. She was
she didn't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, which I understand. And that's, one thing that I've heard a lot through this is people are like, she's crazy for doing that. She could have got hurt, which, is definitely a possibility. It's anything.
But something else took over, right?
Oh, it definitely. You don't want your child to ever be in fear.
No.
And she was scared, because as soon as I told her somebody was outside of her window, she started freaking out, so if it's, anything you can do to keep your kids safe and make them feel safe. And because if he would have got away, then she would have been wondering if he was coming back, Yeah.
And who was it? And did she know who this was?
Well, my 3 oldest know of him because he did go to the same high school, because he's actually the same age as my oldest son.
Okay.
But none of them knew him personally. Like my oldest son just knew of him because they were in the same class, but he ended up dropping out. That kid did. Oh. And so my son wasn't like, really friends with him or anything like that. But
so you tackled him in front of the police car on the street. Yeah. Great bear hug, by the way. I've seen that. So, I mean, that is classic. I can see football coaches showing their teams, this is how you do it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people say that. They're like, we're going to show our youth kids, the youth football teams and all that. We're going to show them how you're supposed to tackle. And it's funny because I've never done a sport in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's like the true definition of, don't mess with a mom's kids,
Exactly. Mama Bear came out.
Yeah, full force.
Full force. It's awesome. And so your video's gone viral. How does it feel to have a viral video, especially as a mom raising 4 kids that are on social media more than you are probably?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been crazy because my oldest one, he actually, since he's graduated from high school and stuff, he works out in the real world. So, his friends at, coworkers and stuff at work go up to him and like, dude, is this your mom? We saw this. Is this your mom?
Oh God.
Yeah. And then the kids, teachers at school are like, we saw your mom on the news. Everybody has seen it. And it's funny because the whole reason I shared the video in the first place was because anybody that knows me knows I'm very quiet. I'm very not confrontational. Mm-hmm. I don't do all that. I stay to myself, So the fact that I did that is kind of almost out of character.
Mhm. There's
So
a true character inside, though.
yeah, that's why I shared it, because I was just like, can y'all believe, I actually did this? And then it went viral, like literally overnight went viral. Like,
Mhm. I know. The newscasters are having a field day with you. It's just
yeah,
so fun, and I'm really interested in hearing your true story. I know that that was a moment in time, and of course, I think any mother or father that had the opportunity to do that would have done it. It's just
yeah.
natural instinct to protect our kiddos, and, it really points to you're a strong woman raising these kids, and so what values have you held to your heart are important for your kids to know and trust in their world so that they lead productive, happy lives?
It's sad this day and age. We want our kids to feel safe in this world.
Mhm.
Uh, we want to teach our kids about, trusting and things like that, because it's things you have to have as a person to be able to live a healthy life. You have to be able to trust. You have to be able to, be confident and believe in yourself, and all those kind of things. So those are things I've always tried to teach my kids. And unfortunately, you have things like that happened, and it makes your kids feel uneasy about life and that, and you have to just remind them that that's just one thing that happened. It doesn't mean that's how life is always going to be.
Right.
uh, but yeah, I've definitely taught my kids to just, I don't know, never give up.
Mhm.
I guess is one of my biggest things. Never give up on their dreams. Never, because being a single parent, I've definitely had to show them to just always give their best, because
Model it.
I recently, well, I say recently, but a little over 2 years ago, I bought a house, and, I've tried
Congratulations.
to make a home for my kids, and done what I never had as a kid, which is stability and routine, and, giving them opportunities that I never had. And so with my kids, like my son that graduated last year, he got to graduate with the same kids he went to pre-K with, which
Wow.
is something that a lot of parents don't realize how important that is. We parents focus too much on themselves and forget that kids need that stability and that routine, and need to be able to look forward to things. Like my son being able to graduate with the same kid he went to pre-K with, it was amazing. It made his whole entire year to be able to be with the same people. And I don't
That's
know.
awesome. We
Yeah,
don't, even friendships, what you're really, I'm hearing is that friendships are vital.
yes,
And that one word that you spoke of earlier is trust. How do we trust the world? How do we trust ourselves in the world? And, having friendships, those relationships we can depend on it, and we know people inside and out. I
yeah,
always say I judge a friendship, a true friendship, whenever I can arrive on the doorstep of my friend and I have absolutely nothing to my name and I'm at the bottom, and they take me in. They don't ask me questions. They say, "Can I get you some food? Do you need a shower?" And they don't want to hear the backstory. They just want to say, "How can I help you? And where do you want to go? Like, how can I help you get to where you need to be?" And
yeah.
we're in a world where the drama is really the bigger story as opposed to the goals and the dreams that each of us have.
That's one thing I've had to teach my kids. It's not about the quantity of friends; it's about the quality of friends.
Mhm.
I only have very few friends now. I know a lot of people because I like to talk. So so my kids are always like, "You have so many friends." I'm like, "No, I know a lot of people, but I only have a few friends." And it's funny you say that about, be able to walk on your friend's doorstep and, kind of know true friends. When I went through my divorce and I started over,
Mhm.
I left everything behind and just wanted to start fresh. And my friend, she opened up her house, and it's my bestest friend in the world. She opened up her house to me and my kids, and, no questions asked, didn't expect anything. And, she just let me rebuild. And that was
That's
probably the best thing
beautiful.
ever,
Yeah.
being able to just start over and, not be judged, because
Right.
so many of us hit rock bottom, but, you choose your future. That's one thing I've told my kids. You choose your future. You choose which direction it goes. Yeah, things might happen in your life, but things that happen don't determine your future. It might just be a setback.
That's
And that's one thing. I think my oldest one right now, it's nice watching him grow up and seeing him do the things that I didn't realize he was learning from me over the years.
Isn't that
If that makes
awesome?
sense. You know, yeah,
Yeah.
like yesterday he was cooking supper at his house or his apartment, and I was like, I can't believe, I was like, you can cook. He was like, well, yeah, mom. I was like, it's just so weird seeing my kid grown, you know.
Mhm. And it happens overnight, doesn't it?
It does. And he's working and saving for his baby and getting prepared. And, you know, it's so amazing to watch what you've created blossom, you know?
I want you to give yourself credit. I mean, honestly, I think
Thank
too
you.
few parents, whenever our kids do well, whenever they blossom, like you're watching for your
Yeah.
oldest here, we don't really give ourselves credit that we did good. You know,
Yeah.
we could be our own worst critic.
Oh no, that's probably one of my biggest downfalls is I am my own worst critic when it comes to everything. And I've had to remind myself, and I think a lot of parents need to remind themselves that we do make mistakes. We're not perfect.
I tell my
we
kids that all the time. I am not perfect.
No, and I will be the first to admit that I've apologized to my kids before. I've messed up. I've, not been the best parent all the time, and I've apologized, and I'm sorry, whether it be I raised my voice a little too loud and probably shouldn't have got as mad as I did, or whatever it might be. I apologize to my kids because, the first step to making a better you is admitting when you're wrong. I
Oh,
mean,
that's beautiful. Mhm.
because Lord knows I'm not perfect. Okay.
We're not taught how freeing it is to be able to truly apologize
Yes.
and know that we don't have to hold that perfectionism type facade up.
Yeah.
Do you see that your children have that ability to not only forgive themselves for their shortcomings, but also to ask for forgiveness?
Yeah, I can see it in them, but like with anything, it takes time to be able to fully do it.
Yeah.
That's what, my oldest one, me and him had the conversation the other day because he's learning about, spending money and, doing right things with being an adult.
Mhm.
And he was like, I realize that it's not going to happen overnight and it's going to take me some time to learn, how to spend money, how to save money, and I was like, yes, it's not, I mean, I can instill it in you and teach you all day long, but it's not something that happens overnight. You don't just wake up one morning and you're like, oh, I'm an adult. Let's do this,
Yeah. Yeah, adult does not equal fiscal responsibility.
No. If I could just give that back, I don't want to be an adult anymore. Can I just give it back?
Right?
I'm
One
telling you.
for this adult part, right?
Yeah, this isn't what I signed up for, okay?
And so we live in a different world. I mean, you and I mean, we didn't have the internet growing up. We didn't have smartphones. I was just reminiscing over the weekend, and I think I was talking about of all things. So I don't know how old you are, but I'm gonna say a couple words here because I remember my mom wanted me to go try out for a modeling thing at Foley's, and they were taking auditions. It was just a big marketing gimmick, is what it ended up being. But here I am in line with my best friend Shirley, and we're hoping we're going to strike it rich, like we're going to be discovered. I was so young. So they were selling Jordache jeans.
Okay, I know what those are.
They're selling Jordache, and so I was, like, reminiscing with, a friend of mine. It's like Jordache and Gloria Vanderbilt's and all these jeans were, like, the thing, and I
Yeah.
remember thinking, there was a part of me going, "If you don't have the thing that's popular, then you're not a person, you're not important," and I'm like, "Wow, there's so much of that we grew up with, but it's just a different flavor now," and I think it's exaggerated and exasperated because it's all on social. So what's the biggest
Yeah.
challenge you're finding as a single mom raising your children in today's atmosphere?
I taught my kids a long time ago that you don't have to be something, like you don't have to act like you're something just to impress people, because if they're a friend, they're a friend. It doesn't mean like, oh, well, the only way they'll be friends with me is if I dress this certain way, or the only way they're going to be friends with me is, I mean, unfortunately, this day and age, I guess experimenting with things is a little
Mhm.
bit worse than it used to be.
Right, and
So
there's just so much
sometimes, you
access.
know, they have it's a lot easier to be able to experience or experiment with drugs and all that. And so I've had to teach my kids, you don't have to do that to fit in. you just be yourself. Sometimes being unique is a lot better than trying to, blend in with the crowd. And so I think my kids have taken the uniqueness a little to an extra level.
Tell me about that.
I love my kids, but my kids are all got their own personal opinions, their own, unique personalities, their unique styles. And I hear from so many people, they'll tell me, they're like, your kids are one of a kind. I'm like, that they are, they stand out from the crowd. They're not like other kids, and they don't care to, put ripples in the world. They're not trying to blend in with the crowds. So they crack me up sometimes because
what's the craziest thing you can think of that one of your children has done?
Let me think. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things, but I'm trying to think best one to share.
Because you're up there now with them because you tackled a guy in the street.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh man, I can't even think right now.
I know, put you on the spot.
There's just so many different things. Like the teachers at school always say how, they're like, your kids are just so different. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But yeah, no, I mean, they don't care to try to impress anybody, I guess you could say. So they say what they want, they do what they want, and I mean, they're good kids, but
yeah, they're respectful. But
they're respectful, but they have a sense of humor like me. So
good. That'll get you through life.
Yeah, I know.
In high school, I discovered something that was strange. So I wanted colored contacts. They were new back then. And my mother, we couldn't afford colored contacts because they were, pricey.
Yeah.
So I had some crazy idea that I was going to soak my contacts that are clear in food coloring. And so I did it. Soaked them in food coloring, just a dot in there, and they came out blue. And so I put in the blue contacts and everything was blue. It doesn't have a hole in the middle that is clear. So everything looked blue for a while until that would fade off during the day. It would seep off, right? But I'd go to school with these really dark blue eyes and freak people out. And then, and anybody who's listening to this knows that about me if you grew up with me. And then I would take my hair, and because we couldn't have hair dye, I would use food coloring to color, just strips of my hair, different colors, blue, red, make purple, green. And I was the person that did that crazy stuff. And it became part of my personality just to not stand out, but to express my individual creativity in a way that I did it on my own. So it sounds like your kids have a bit of that.
Yeah, they definitely do. My daughter, especially, she's, what used to not be acceptable and is acceptable now, it's completely different.
Oh, yeah.
I never thought, if you would have asked me years ago when I first had my kids, if I'd allow my daughter to get her nose pierced, I would have told you, heck no.
Yeah.
But now things are so much more acceptable, and, kids are expressing themselves a lot different ways. And so I did. I let her get her nose pierced, and she has 12 piercings in total. So wow. she loves piercings, and she doesn't care what anybody thinks. But I did explain, to all of my kids that when you get in the real world and you start working and stuff, yes, you're not supposed to care what people think, but there's also this thing of first impressions. You know what I mean? So I told her, I said, yes, now when you're in high school, you can have the nose piercing, but when you go to get a real job, you may not be able to have that because not everybody views it the same way.
It might limit your options.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah,
exactly. But that's how she likes expressing herself, is the crazy hair dye. She's got her hair bright red and on the top and the black on the bottom right now.
I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, she definitely expresses herself to the fullest.
Yeah. And, there's certain things that they say, pick your battles, right? So as parents, there's certain things
that we on that one.
Yeah. Because you're like, there's so many battles I could pick. Which one do I want to pick?
Yeah.
I love it. And so I wanted to ask about life balance. So you're a full-time, employee, you're providing for your family. You've got 4 wonderful children, and I'm sure you have a private life and some time for just Phyllis. I would hope, right? I know you're laughing. She's like, what's that? But I was just wondering, could you share what are some of your own modalities or ways that you find peace and restorative energy inside of yourself, in this day and time?
I love doing things with the kids, and that it's weird, but that's what gives me so much happiness. Like that's what, some people's peace they find by going to get a massage or whatever it might be. They find that as their peaceful point. But with me, I just love doing stuff with the kids, and the time that which my friends are all think I'm crazy with this, but I love cleaning and I love doing yard work. So that's when I kind of like, just
Wow.
that's my time,
Uh-huh.
So I'll go disappear. Like yesterday I was weeding and I just disappear in my own little world, and I find my peace there.
That's great. Return to nature.
Yes. Raising kids is very, very difficult, but it's very rewarding.
Completely.
It's extremely rewarding to see their smiles and their happiness, and find an even balance to where you don't forget about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you yourself isn't good, then you can't provide for your kids.
Right.
I mean, you have to be not just physically, but mentally healthy, and that's been a big struggle of mine, is making sure I stay, mentally healthy to where I can provide for my kids.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking care of yourself in that way and having that awareness, because sometimes I can see parents taking on the pressures of life, and then they lash out, and it's not who we are at our core. It's just how we're ending up, dealing with things and coping. And then we regret later, and regret's so painful inside of our soul.
It really is.
What other advice would you give to parents? So if there's parents out there, be it new parents or even parents with a baby on the way, like your son, or parents that are saying, like this world, maybe they hear themselves saying this world is tough, or this world is harsh, or this world is, it's hard for our kids growing up. What would you tell them? So to give them some, perspective and hope.
Well, I know that it's always said that, you're not supposed to be your kid's friend. You're just supposed to be their parent. But I think as a parent, we have to find that even balance, because the only way that your kids are going to make it, and it's sad to say, but the only way your kids are going to make it through this day and age safe and in one piece is by them trusting you. Them trusting you to be able to come to you, to talk to you about what's going on. And that way, you can say as a parent, I know what's going on in my kid's life. I know what they got going on. That way they feel comfortable to come talk to you, instead of them trying to lean on a friend to get advice, or, because that's when a lot of times bad things happen, is because they don't know who to turn to. So they turn to their 13-year-old friend that's giving them advice that also don't know what they're talking about.
Right. The blind leading the blind, right?
Yes. But just, remembering that none of us know what we're doing. I mean, let's just be honest. As parents, none of us know what we're doing. You can read every book that's out there to try to convince yourself that you know what you're doing. You're going to make mistakes. Things are not going to be perfect. There's going to be times where you question if you're even doing it right. Like I've done many times.
There's going to be a lot of times we question if we're doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely lean on your friends, your good friends, to help you through it, because something that you're experiencing, they may have already gone through and can give you some helpful tips, and don't beat yourself up when something goes wrong. I've gotten plenty of calls from the school, from the principal, for my kids. I mean, it happens. It doesn't matter how well you teach them. They're going to do things that are going to frustrate you.
Yeah, not part of the blueprint.
I'm like, there's times I've gone up to school and my kids have done something, and I'm just like, why? Like, what were you even thinking? Were you even thinking? Like, were you even thinking when you did that? Or what was going through your head? But no, just love your kids. Give them time. I mean, they need time and attention. For sure.
Yeah.
They thrive off of that time and attention.
They totally do. And the time flies by so fast. But know it, we're going to be old.
I'm not ready to be a grandma. I'm like, when did this happen? Like,
you're going to love it a whole lot more, I tell you.
I know, but I still feel like I had him the other day. I don't even feel like it's possible he could be giving me a kid. Okay. Like,
you'll be that sexy grandma. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I know, right?
Awesome. Well, thank you for being you. Thank you for being a strong woman with courage and doing what's right for your children and keeping that in focus. And, what I'm taking away from our talk today and our connection is that I love it that you say that we don't all get it right. There is no right. You're doing the best you can with what you've got as you
Yes.
go. And to instill those core values. And it feels like, having some talks with our children, really meeting them eye to eye, heart to heart, and opening up so that they trust us and they know that they can have a safe place to land. Because the world is difficult, it is challenging, and there is no rule book. And even if there were, people aren't following those rules.
Yeah, no.
So creating that family unit that your children can come back to and feel safe.
Yeah, it's the most important for sure, because there are some very mean people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you're going to cross their paths one day in your life.
Yeah.
And you just have to be prepared to know how to handle the situation and the people. It's crazy out there. It really is.
It is. Thank you for being you, Phyllis. It's been such a joy having you today on Light Your Life.
Thank you.
Your story is inspirational, and I know that your video is going to continue to go viral. So you guys, if you haven't yet seen it, just simply Google Mom Tackles Peeping Tom. She is that mom. So thank you, Phyllis. You are an inspiration to so many. And give my hugs to all your kiddos. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmom too. And I wish them well in their journeys and for them to never lose sight of their dreams, their hopes, their vision, and believe in themselves 100%. Because the world will have you not believe in yourself, but that's not who you truly are inside.
Oh, that is so true right there. You couldn't have said that any better. It'll have you question everything in your life.
It totally will. Don't listen to it. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.